Hey everyone, and welcome to the next edition of the Snapchat. I'm joined today by none other than Cozy Snap. On our 100th episode, Cozy, we're here to talk about our month in review. We've got a lot to discuss here. We just on Cozy's channel went through all the new stuff. It took well over an hour. And on this channel here, we're going to try and breeze ourselves through the September in review. Now, this is something that I think is so fun for us. It's also a little stressful. We got to hold ourselves accountable for the stuff we say on the Snapchat, on the pod. But Cozy, how excited are you to go through the last season's cards?
Yeah, I'm excited. I think September season was a tough one. Yeah, there was a lot of hype around it. Some fell flat. Some ended up kind of where we thought they were. And overall, just looking at popularity is something that I wanted to look at. How often are these cards getting played in comparison to the stats presented? And we are about to find out. September season, the Symbiote season in review.
Yeah, so Symbiote Spider-Man was the season pass card. This is a very interesting one. It did go from a 4.6 to a 4.7, so it did receive a buff. And in terms of statistics, in terms of like post-infinite over the last 7 days, according to Untapped, of course, we are looking at a slightly negative cube rate, a 48% win rate, but a 19% meta share. And that is going to obviously take into account the weekend missions, which it has been a part of. Now, this surprises me. This is one of those cards where, like, when I play it, it does not feel like a 48% win rate card.
Yeah,
I feel like it feels way better than that, but the statistics aren't backing that up. Now, for us, we came in high. I came in at 4. You came in at 4 as well, and then you even hummed and hawed about whether or not it could potentially hit the 5 ceiling, although you did settle it ultimately at a 4. And for me, I don't know about you, Cozy, but this here, I don't want to say it's a disappointment, but statistically, it's not performing.
Yeah, way to sell me out over there. Maybe just could have gone with 4. No, listen, I thought it was gonna be the Iron Lad of Activate. I think one of the big things that led to a lot of the maybe disappointment is just Activate and learning what that mechanic was, how it works, how it interacted with on reveals, how it interacted in general, right? Like with cards and play lines, it's a little different. It was a little different than we thought, right? So much so that it did get a buff as well. And I think even in this, we were talking about Brood and like all this things that you could pull off with. And a lot of these just didn't end up working out. Now, with the Namora, with the Galactus, with the Black Panther, there's some obvious. I mean, this guy single-handedly took Black Panther back up, to its spot as the King of Wakanda. But yeah, man, it is a less of a plug-and-play card and more of a combo-specific card. Ultimately, I think sums it up.
I think the major challenge with it is that Activate is very, I can't think of the term. There's a word for, like, what's the word when like dancers do the thing? Like, they dance and like they work on it in advance and you can see it.
Routine.
And it's like, oh, it's obvious. Sorry?
Routine?
Not
rehearsed?
routine.
Rehearsal?
No, not even rehearsed. Anyways, the idea that it's on the board and you're looking at it, right? And then you're like, well, I know it's going to do this thing. I know they're going to play Galactus on it, right? And so you're able to kind of anticipate, as like the opponent's able to anticipate what Symbiote Spider-Man's going to do. And I think that is what took cubes off it. That's what took wins off it. The fact that it is essentially there and it's like, I know what they're going to do to me. Like, I see the risk. I'm not going to be caught by surprise here. Galactus coming in by surprise on turn 6 is surprising because it's on reveal and you see that reveal happen. When it's played on top of Symbiote Spider-Man, you're like, they're going to play Galactus on top of Symbiote Spider-Man.
What is cadence? Is it cadence? Was that the word you're looking for too? It's not cadence, is it?
No, cadence. It's killing me because it's choreographed. It's choreographed.
There you go. There it is.
It's choreographed. That's the word I was looking for. Thanks to everybody, the 900 people that commented down below. Clown, it's choreographed. Learn English, TY. But like, yeah, seriously, that's kind of what my concern is.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. I think it is choreographed a bit. I think it can. It's 100th episode. We got to drop our usual bangers. They can't, and they're stuck because they can't make this a 3 cost because that all it is a Shuri. Like, this is Shuri. Like, Shuri's all over, double that. Dude, it's crazy stuff. But, like, yes, it's obvious when you're trying to do things. And, that's kind of what Black Panther was forever. And he phased out because it had the one thing it can do. Now, there is some tricky stuff that you could pull off with it. But it becoming Symbiote, means you can't do some of the more unique stuff that we thought, maybe Dawkins or whatever, right? So, I do agree. I think because it's the way Activate works, because it is, you kind of know what's going on. All that being said, I'm still surprised that the stats are so low on it. I am. I thought it was. I still think it performs better when when I play it. No, but just when I've played it, I've had better runs with it than not.
Dude, I agree. I actually like this card. When I was looking at the stats, I'm like, this can't be right. So I went through this. I'm like, yeah, like it's underperforming, and that kind of surprises me. And it's worth noting that like Symbiote Spider-Man got buffed, Black Panther got buffed, and Galactus got buffed. That's like buffing the same deck. It's like 3 cards that were in the same decks together.
But I think it's gonna be fine. Like I do think it's gonna, like I think it will do fine down the line.
Yeah, probably because it has those it has that evergreen effect. You want to talk about sayings? My friend, it's going to age like fine
wine.
People
hate it when we say that. Yeah, I know. I mean, Absorbing Man, right? Absorbing Man fell flat, and then he became, very good down the line as we had more things that made sense with it. He did get a buff, too, but I definitely think we could see better days for Symbiote.
Yeah, no question. And in terms of better days, I don't know if Silver Sable needs better days, because Silver Sable might be living its best life right now. Silver Sable running a 52% win rate on aggregate at an 11% popularity across the meta. Now, what's interesting about Silver Sable is I'm sure you've played against it in a wide variety of archetypes, including Toxic, including Bounce. We got the high Evo shells, right, that came out as well. This has been a very strong performer, Cozy. I came in at a glistening 5 stars, and our boy Cozy started at 3.5, but don't worry, Cozy, you changed your mind later on and gave her a nice little 4.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think I could repeat what I said about her. I think it still stands, right? I think those are the 3 decks that she'll be plated. I didn't play her past release week much, I can be honest. And we knew she'd be good in those decks, and I think that's kind of where it's at, Did I expect her, long term? We'll see if she ended up being the best from that month still, or, we got to go through a couple cards. I don't know. I don't think there's anything new I have to say about her. She landed kind of where we thought she was going to land. At least that's how I think of it.
It's so funny you say that, because I thought she was going to land as one of the best cards of the month, and you thought she was going to land somewhere in the middle. And so, there's some discrepancy here, Cozy, because we both agree it landed where we thought.
I missed by saying she was the worst card of the month as far as the ranking of the other cards, but she landed where I thought she would land, and that's indicative of the other cards missing rather than where I thought she was going to go.
But you know what, Cozy? One thing you were definitely right about was Madam Web. Madam Web has most certainly had an impact on the meta. You came in at 5 stars, Cozy. This was the godsend card of the month for you. And for me, you know what? Talking about getting poo-pooed on, I got poo-pooed on a lot for my takes on Madam Web, where I was like, you know what? I was very hesitant with this card, specifically in launch week. We did correctly identify that Arana was going to do a lot for it. And at launch, Madam Web was a train wreck. It didn't even crack 50% win rate. It was a disaster. The move decks didn't crack top 10s, despite what is honestly a remarkable card. I'll say this about Madam Web, okay? It is going to completely, and it has forever changed the way moves can be played. That much is clear.
So I've left it on Silver Sable. I do want to say, in my going through my rambling with my hours of sleep that I got over here, I want to just give you credit for looking past some of the spicy stuff and just giving what looked to be a very obvious vanilla, like what it was going to do and where it landed. And so I want to give you props. Let's just not move on straight from that, right? Beat the comments to it. Maybe they already posted it and then they see this part and like, shit, I should probably delete it. Anyway, yes, Madam Web, dude, is still not even in her final form, man. She's got more Super Saiyans to be had behind her. Yeah, I think the effect of being able to move cards is slightly less played than I thought, originally, but everything else has made sense entirely. Love she works and move so insanely well, but also she can work in control. We've seen that. We've seen her in these other builds. And I'm excited about the future of her. I don't think you're going to be mad about having this card in your collection.
Yeah, you're still looking at a 51% win rate, which for move is really good, and a 12% meta share in terms of popularity. So it definitely has penetrated the meta. I am still of the mindset that I would prefer this card be 2-3, and that I think that move as a whole needs to be retooled and rebalanced. Less emphasis on super high dagger, super high human torch. Get rid of the whole tribunal stuff going on. Make the entire archetype more well-rounded, and I think that would be kind of a significant change. It's also worth noting that for Madam Web, it's coming into the most hostile move meta it's ever seen. Junk is literally one of the top decks in the game right now, and Junk absolutely just takes a like a massive dinosaur dump on Madam Web, right? Because you just don't have room to do your thing. Like you can't operate. You can move, but like there's no space to move, and then like you just can't do your stuff, right? So very hostile environment for Madam Web. I came away impressed with the design. I came away impressed with how well it played. I thought it was actually fun. Let's not forget that. I think that it's actually a fun card, and we miss that in Marvel Snap sometimes. So, Coccia, I want to give you credit. You called it. This was a good card, and I think that it ultimately has had the impact that you expected for Move.
Yeah, I mean, and with Scream coming out, you have something even more against it as well. But I think there's plenty of good days ahead as well for Madam Web, and just a brand new mechanic that they landed right. You know, I think they landed this one right. It feels pretty good. We'll have to see. Move is awkward. We definitely know that. And with that, let's talk the card that just goes right with it, right? You just brought it up. But yes, Arana. And what does Arana do?
We just need you to roll that R a little more. You know, it's almost perfect. Arana.
I love that Alex went from saying Arana, or what did you start as? And now you're
I said Arena.
Yeah.
And like, oh my gosh, you talk about a comment section.
You went from Arana to like straight from Mexico City.
I think I did the video first. I was like, Cozy, do not mispronounce Arana because they're going to lose their minds.
Spider in English. How does Spider land? And is she only played in Move? Does she enhance Move? What do you feel?
I think she's great. Yeah. I think she's great. And I think she did a lot for Madam Web. Madam Web truly came online with Arana. Now, we've seen this a number of times where like we get a card and then we're like, hey, keep an eye out for that next week because that's good. This was exactly that. Madam Web was good, but with Arana, it was definitely better. On aggregate, Arana is seeing more play, 15% meta popularity. However, a lower win rate than Madam Web at 49. I think this is because you're seeing a lot of experimentation with Arana in Phoenix Force. You're seeing experimentation in Destroy, although that's kind of starting to fizzle out a little bit, I think. Ultimately, I do think this card is very versatile. I like it a lot. And looking at a 49% win rate, it actually surprises me too. I would have expected this to be in the 51-52 range because I do think this is a good card.
A forge that you could play later, right? And this is another victim to the, like, how much did we talk about Brood in this card? And it never even ended up working. So, like, this is another victim to just not having, activate our hands on activate and that being just something that is tough. Also, I remember a little bit. We ranked all these cards before the trailer too, and we like how Activate was even confirmed to go. So now a lot more makes sense in some of the ways that we were thinking about this in general. But yes, I think she will also be played in more wide variety decks. It was funny, I didn't even have her in a Scarlet Spider deck, even though it makes sense there. She just didn't get the cut. But I do think what she does provide at a base level is solid, and we will see her in plenty of decks in the future.
Yeah, we both came in at the same rating as a 4, and I think that ultimately lands true. Moving to Scarlet Spider. This one here is interesting. Now, Scarlet Spider is the most recent one to have come out, and I gotta be honest with you, I'm kind of disappointed, but also surprised. This is another one where I looked at the statistics, and I was like, really? It's that bad? 47.6% win rate, a 12% meta popularity, and a negative Q rate of 0.11 negative. We both gave it 4 stars, although the 4-star rating is not necessarily indicative of what we ultimately decided, because when we did our final month rankings, which we'll talk about afterwards, I ranked Scarlet Spider far higher than you, whereas you were much more limited. I listened to our thing back. You were much more like reserved with where you thought Scarlet Spider was ultimately going to land. I come away disappointed. I'm interested to hear your take on Scarlet Spider.
Yeah, I almost want to go back and listen to what we said on the specific episodes and not the main one. All these takes I think are for the main episode, and I feel like I don't know. I feel like I changed some of my opinion once we found out what they did. But yeah, I was less on Scarlet Spider when we talked about him specifically, and I still think what I thought then: wrong meta, wrong time. I think he will make sense, but right now we're just in this very weird meta. Like, just the way, like, it's just not cutting it. You know, this good value card, you look back, this would have been insane in the stature decks of old. It's just not exactly cutting it these days. And so, will Agony help it out? You know, will it work in just in a future kind of area of Marvel Snap? And this is another card, though, I will say, I have enjoyed my play with it. I haven't had bad games that much. Like, I don't know if it's just, like, people are getting too greedy with it. Whatever, I don't know. But I felt like the games I've played have been good.
I actually liked it. My
Same.
review of it, I like this card. Like, people were saying they wanted to skip it. I'm like, that's fine. It's definitely skippable because I think like when
It's
you consider like
skippable.
what Madam Web's doing for move, like Scarlet Spider doesn't do that for anything. But like my games were great. Like they were so good. I think I had one game. I had like a 17 power Scarlet Spider, and I wasn't even like, it was crazy what it was able to do. And at the same time, if you're Glenn and the team designing this card, you release this at 4/6. Like how much higher could you go? Without like vanilla, it's a 4, 5, and 2 slots, right? And that's 10 power across. You are occupying 2, so Crossbones occupies 1, for instance. But like at 4/6, that's 12 stats across the board. Like, and it's not hard to buff it. Like, I just don't know how you release this card without it being either broken or underwhelming.
And like 3/4, you don't really want to do with some of the stuff like Gwynpool. Then is like awkward. Like I don't know. It's just a tough one to land a bit in general. But again, I do think that it'll be fine. As we continue on, I think people really love to judge cards as soon as they come out, and you got to get accustomed to not doing that. There are some cards that way, but now that we know Activate, now that we know that Move is just no matter what they give, it's just tough to get that archetype going. I think we have a bit more. This month had a lot of question marks, and I think we're kind of seeing that all come together now.
Yeah, and I think Scarlet Spider is a good example of Activate used well. I felt like this was a very natural use of Activate, whereas with Arana, I felt like it was a little more awkward, especially with the language around it. I am still of the camp, by the way, that I still think you should say after you play the next card. That's a hill that I'll stand on and die on, and that's a whole other conversation. Cozy, rankings that we had done, in terms of 1 through 5 on our rankings at the first inaugural episode there, I had went number 1, Silver Sable, number 2, Scarlet Spider, wham. Number 3, Arana. Number 4, Symbiote Spider-Man. And then number 5, I said Madam Web. So I think I got a hit on Silver Sable there. Big whiff on Scarlet Spider. And probably a whiff there, I would say, on Madam Web. And for you had gone Madam Web number 1. Symbiote Spider-Man number 2. Arana number 3. Scarlet Spider 4. Silver Sable 5.
Yeah, I probably still like Web more than I like Sable. I'm going to be honest. I do, just in the ways that, like, if you're pure bounce, I get it. I'm just not playing her, man. I'm just not playing the card too much. So yeah, I would say obviously I whiffed. Sable would be 2 for me. I would have Web 1 still. I would have Sable 2. Arana 3. Man, Symbiote, that was the card that's just like, I don't know. It's just so crazy to see it not land as that flex Iron Lad role that we thought. And more predictable. But I do think down the line, it'll be fine. It'll be fine for that card. And so what we started out as we said this entire month had good cards. It didn't end up that way, but I do think this month is going to provide stuff for the future.
Yeah, it was a fun one. I think this was a really fun one to look back on as well, because it looks like, that I definitely was too high on Scarlet Spider, and then you were too high on the Symbiote Spider-Man. Although, I got to be honest with you, I still think both those cards are going to age like fine wine. Anyways, let's move on to our next point of conversation here, and we're going to do the fantasy football style. The best token shop buys, Cozy, and this is for today, this meta, and it's going to be a rapid fire pick 'em, Cozy. And listen, this is one of the most common questions that we get in terms of like how to use your resources. It can be hard to commit tokens sometimes, especially when you miss those spotlight caches, maybe you didn't have the keys. And so we're going to be discussing them. Cozy, I'm putting you on the hot seat here. We're going to get started with some 6 costs, and I say 6 costs, but one of them isn't even 6 costed. But who would you take between Eliath and Erisham?
Erisham.
Really? That actually surprises me. Really, Erisham? Okay, you gotta sell me on this. I actually was not expecting you to say Erisham there.
Really? I mean, I think for the casual player, for sure, Erisham. I still think I think Erisham's getting underplayed still. I think he does what he does great. He's still doing the chaos. Cassandra Nova's played way less because of it, and I just think there's no card like it. Eliath is better than people think, and priority decks are at its all-time high. Good card, but I would prefer Erisham.
Yeah, actually, and you're seeing a lot of Eliath even in the move packages, right? Where they're gaining initiative so high, and then they're like, well, I'm just going to Eliath. So you can't, they have they have Cosmo to protect the dagger. They Eliath onto the other location to kind of catch them off guard. All right, Eric, but yeah, I do agree. Like if you're a relatively like new player or low collection level player, then like suddenly Erisham makes a lot of sense as well, because it's just, you get that really unfair advantage. And it could be potentially very good in the upcoming high voltage mode. Right?
Yeah.
So I'm assuming he would give you extra energy.
To work
that's
with.
Something where you don't have
probably.
confirmation of. Right? Moving to the next one. It's the Battle of the Twos. Cozy. We had Kate Bishop okay, join us, and now it is in the token shop. Would you take Kate Bishop or White Widow?
White Widow.
That was an easy one for you. Why don't you explain?
Both good. Both are plug and play. Both are going to work across a lot of decks. I think White Widow, I just don't know if we'll all keep White Widow the way she's designed forever and always. You know, I think like even if we were talking about things like Misery, like that's a card that like you wouldn't have guessed, but it's going to work great with White Widow. It being it clogging, it giving a negative experience, it forcing your opponent to play on that card and force them to play lanes. It's doing so much at once. Kate is great. Kate gives great curve. Kate works in a lot of decks. White Widow works in more, I think.
I hear you. And that kind of brings up a next question here. And how would you rank these three? White Widow, Kate Bishop, and Jeff the Baby Land Shark.
Madam Web and War Machine just messed Jeff hard. And now you have Scream going. So I'm going to go White Widow, Kate, Jeff.
That's crazy. What a fall from grace for Jeff. And I actually agree with you there. Listen, I'm like one of the biggest Jeff believers in the world. I actually read the Jeff comics. There's not even reading in them. There's just pictures. And I really liked Jeff the Baby Land Shark. I still love Jeff the Baby Land Shark. He just doesn't compete there. He's not best in slot anymore. He's just not best. You have too many better options. And I don't know if that's representative like a power creep in Marvel Snap, because like Jeff was a 2-3 that just did his thing, and now we're like doing all this other crazy stuff. And if Jeff's not good enough, by golly, things have changed. We're going to be going back to the 6 costs here. And I think this is a fascinating one. Where would you go between Alioth and Mockingbird?
Mockingbird. Yeah, probably Mockingbird. Yeah, just another card that I play so much. Alioth has gotten to the point where it's more flexible almost, right? Because Mockingbird's taking hit after hit. It's now 6-9. Yeah, I would still say there's just so many cards that synergize with Mockingbird and what she can provide. And honestly, this is more of just deck preference, too. Like, you may not play decks that utilize Mockingbird if you don't play the Zoos, the Pages, the Mysterios, the Sasquatch kind of weird things out there. But for me, those are the decks that I do play. Alioth is great. Can I just say this about Alioth? I just like, if Alioth ever gets too good, they just get rid of, they do something, they change them, and I just don't trust that. Like, nowadays, Snap is about safeguards rather than like just what they do now. And so Mockingbird, I think, has been through like 9 hits, and so she's probably safer than Alioth.
And that's something that you do on your reviews that I appreciate, like that adjustment risk, right? Yeah. I like that you do that. And I think that's right. Like, Alioth is one of those cards that really can never be too good because they're just going to spank it, right? Yep. And spanked it has received. And then, okay, let's move on to a couple other expensive cards here. Now, we already spoke about Erisham, but I'd be interested in hearing your take on Erisham versus Red Hulk.
Oh, that one's tougher. That one's a lot harder because, you know, it's just like, what are you looking to do? What are you looking to play? I think Red Hulk has proven to be this plug-and-play great card to have in so many different decks. Still fits that role. Plays in high roll decks, plays in low roll, plays in safe decks. If that's your goal, go that route. And if you want to just have more fun, random cards, if you want that thing, then you play Erisham. But I would say for the majority, probably Red Hulk. But it's another card that I'm just like, both of those are cards I'm just not, you know, sold on staying how they are forever. But yeah, Red Hulk here.
And fair enough. And if you have 6,000 tokens, where do you take between Alioth and Red Hulk?
What do you mean? Oh, if you could only get one?
Yeah, I worded that very awkwardly. But yes, who do you take? Alioth or Red Hulk?
Yeah, probably Red Hulk.
Hey, you're surprisingly low on Alioth.
It's not honestly. That I am. No, it's not that I think Alioth is great. I just don't trust it. We have seen time. I mean, look what happened to Doc Ock, and look what happened to any Sandman. I mean, it's very obvious at this point. They don't care about big power stuff. But if there's a negative play experience to the game, they find a way to fix it. And so, like, I can't give honest advice to get Alioth because, man, eventually, if he gets too good, he's gone.
For what it's worth, I agree with your takes. I'm just saying I'm surprised. Okay. I'm surprised that that Alioth isn't actually kind of keeping up here. We're going to talk about 2 Titans. We have Galactus and we have Thanos. Imagine you're a relatively new player and you want to get one of these big bads. Which is the one you think you're taking today?
Galactus.
Yeah, and why is that?
No question. Dude, I think the objective for Galactus now, and it working with other cards, you don't have to go all in on it, but you can also go all in on it, is just it's the bee's knees. It's so fun with Marvel Snap. If I had a stranger and I could give him one phone with Galactus, one with Thanos, and I was gonna have him play one game, it's definitely Galactus. It's easy to understand, it's fun, no question.
And with Symbiote Spider-Man as well, Galactus has these additional lines, which I think are particularly valuable. Now, this is a tough one, Cozy. I'm going to have to give you a thinker here. War Machine or Iron Lad?
War Machine. At this point, probably War Machine. Wait, hold on. Or Iron Lad?
Come on.
Yeah,
I did not expect that. I'm actually shocked right now.
Yeah, hold on. I got to think because they did just get the nerf. I don't know, man. I play so many. I put Iron Lad in like every deck. Like I'm probably up there in the most Iron Lad of players. If you like the things that War Machine does, I don't know, man. Actually, yeah, I don't know why I fired off so well. I will actually say probably for me, Lad, but War Machine is so good too. I mean, I like Lad. I like the idea of reaching into your deck. There's so many more cards that capitalize off him. War Machine's an incredible card, but I do think it's going to be Lad.
That's kind of why I responded so right. I didn't even give you a chance to talk. I was like blowing up already because I was like, I thought this was your chance to just stand on Iron Lad, and you're like, no, screw Iron Lad.
I think I was saying War Machine before you even finished the word Iron Lad because I was like, no matter what cards you pick, and then you said Iron Lad, I was like, oh damn, So yeah, I think War Machine stands up against a lot of cards right now, though.
Absolutely, and okay, let's talk about two others here, which I think they've kind of fallen off a little bit, but I still think they're very good. Blink or Copycat?
Ooh. Copycat. Yeah, Blink. And I've been playing Blink a lot this season, like more so than I did even like in her season. I think Blink is so fun. But yeah, it's Copycat. Copycat is the definition of what you want in a new card nowadays.
Now, I've not played much Copycat since the nerf. This might be a hot take, but I think that the fact it changed to copied from Steel, I think it actually hurt the card a lot. It feels much worse, despite the fact that people say, hey, Alex, it was at the bottom anyways. It shouldn't even matter, blah, blah, blah. It feels worse to me. And right now, I've been playing way more Blink, so I'm just throwing it out there. And then we have ourselves Red Guardian and Hope Summers.
Yo, okay, so originally I wrote down, because I saw the subject and I didn't know how we were going to do it. So for me, I have like my token shop buys, Red Guardian, and Hope Summers are right there. They're at the top pretty much. I mean, right there, White Widow, Nico, those are all the ones. Red Hulk, these are the ones that I have written down. It's Hope Summers. I love Red Guardian, but it's Hope Summers.
Yeah, you always take Hope, I think. Hope Summers might be the most disrespected card in Snap right now. Like, if you think about it, how good is this card? And it's actually not making a lot of decks. I still played in Silver Surfer because I really like Hope Summers, and then you play the Sarah on top, and you have that, like, insane potential on turn 6. You don't even need Magic anymore. You just do that, and, like, you can play everything in your hand. You're good, right? I really, really like Hope Summers a lot. But not to say that Red Guardian is not good. Red Guardian saw an uptick in play with Madam Web, but still didn't take over the meta, which kind of surprised me. I think it's a very natural inclusion, and I think it's going to be one of those things. We saw this with US Agent, where US Agent coming back into Spotlight caches kind of brought it back into the meta because more people were willing to play it, willing to give it a shot. I bet you Red Guardian's in a similar position.
I think when we see Namora come back, dude, we're going to see so many more Namora decks. It's going to be wild. That's a card I know everybody's excited about. Red Guardian, in the way of same, like, we just talk about Scream and how much we like her. I mean, that's just an instant counter to Scream, instantaneously, right? And like that was their goal in that deck, and you didn't really have to do much. You just played Red Guardian on curve, right? So like, he's just a card that will stand the test of time.
Absolutely, and we're talking about the archetype defining cards. Cozy, who would you take between these two, Gilgamesh or Annihilus?
Gilga.
Taking Gilgamesh, especially if you're a relatively new player. But like, can you explain why you think Annihilus just isn't worth the call here?
I just think Gilgamesh is insane. I thought like when they adjusted Marvel Boy, I was like, they literally talked about like I thought Hellcow was gonna go, something was gonna happen to Hellcow and something was gonna happen to Gilgamesh. Instead, it was Hela and it was Marvel Boy, and I was like, that's so crazy to me. I don't even know how Gilgamesh is still hanging out as a 5/9. It's just such a good card. Makes Zoo the best at a point in time and still one of the best decks in the game. And with Alioth, we just have other things now. Viper really hurt Alioth. It's a 3-cost card that, does a lot. If White Widow combined with that, you just don't see that be played as much. And then you even have things like Cersei instead of playing Sorry.
You've been using them interchangeably, but we understand.
Yes, Annihilus. Which one are we comparing it to? You can tell the sleep deprived here.
Poor Cozy's no rest. You were describing Annihilus, but you were saying Alioth. So I think you're good, man. You were saying the right stuff with the wrong card.
Dude, yeah, there's nobody home right now. But yes, I would still stand on that. Those are the main reasons, Drew, why I would pick that.
Yeah, we got you, buddy. A couple more here. Cozy, What would you think about these two here? Now, this is crazy. I am really interested in hearing your thoughts on Athena versus Loki.
Okay. Okay, Alex. Let's see.
That's a tough one, I know.
I think for most players, Athena is just so good. I think Athena might be it.
Yeah.
Loki's good too, though. Loki does its thing. That's like saying the Airshim and Red Hulk. It's just like, what are you looking to do? What are you looking to play? One gives a new way to play a deck and a style in a game. The other one's just good.
I know, but that's the hard part, right? People have 6,000 tokens. They have limited resources, and they have to make those calls. And that's what makes it hard, right?
Do you play for fun, or do you play for, really climbing them ranks, I think is what you just ask yourself. Not that they're not competitive.
I would agree that Athena's the one you take, though. Because Loki's fallen. I hate the changes to Loki. I'm sorry. I'm going to say this right now. Loki needs to be brought back to its original thing. Hand size, flip him over, nerf the crap out of it. We need that back. That should have been a card. We still need that card in the game. The new Loki is so sus. It's still like fine. Like in terms of like a win rate, cube rate, it's fine. Whatever. I miss the play style of old Loki. I would like to see it come back. But maybe just because I'm coping. But hey, I'm known for it. Next up, Cozy, we do have Gwenpool versus Cassandra Nova. Two very different cards, but still two very recent additions to the token shop.
For me, Gwenpool is a card I play in almost every day. Like, I love Gwenpool on Curve. I love the way the card works, the way it combos, the way it just feels good to play out in mid-range decks. I'm going to go Gwenpool here.
It's funny because like Gwenpool has aged like artesian cheese. And while Cassandra Nova has been very, very good, you like that, don't you?
Instead of wine.
While Cassandra Nova's been very, very good, I feel like Gwenpool has really come online. Actually, like now that the season's gone, it's gotten better and seeing more play outside of its season. Haven't you noticed that? It's kind of interesting to see that.
That's what we said, though. That's what we said in the in-review, and that's kind of my standpoint on some of the cards this season. Like, in the season, for the season, sure, this game's all about meta, man. It's all about meta and what's happening, what you've seen out there, and I do think Gwenpool is starting to synergize with a lot more of these cards that get OTA'd, buffed, or released.
Absolutely. And, sir, that is going to take us to our Snapchat mailbag, one of our absolute favorite things to do here. And we had a lot of interesting comments and questions. A lot of people kind of lamenting over the spicy apple juice that we were drinking. Lots of fun stuff. And it starts with a comment from the inmate of Arkham, which read, in reference to the last episode, "You're on the wrong sides of the screen, damn it." Cozy, we hadn't even considered it.
Dude, we didn't even think about that. We didn't even mention it. I edited the whole thing. Didn't even think about it then. And then, like, I saw that as the first comment, and I just replied to it, and I was like, this will be the number one comment on the video. And lo and behold, we managed to screw it up again, because I think the last time we did that, we also were on the wrong side.
It's funny, because, like, just so you guys know, we're talking about upvotes, like, almost 700 on that single comment, right? People were like, I didn't think it was that big a deal, but apparently, sir, the sides we're on.
100 episodes, it's man. If someone's watching for 100 episodes, we have a lot of you guys out there comment, let us know. But if you've watched every one, I'm sure it's like, what the heck? Like, used to one thing.
Yeah, and some love we got from Deez McSqueeze read, "Long after I'm done playing Marvel Snap, I'd still be tuning into the Snapchat. Seriously, guys, watching these without a smile is impossible." And I just want to say, Cozy, I'm sure you can kind of, back this up. A lot of the people we meet on the road, first of all, it's so wonderful meeting Snapchat family out there. Everyone often says the same thing. Hey, not playing as much Snap as I used to, but damn it, do I tune into the Snapchat?
Yeah, I mean, this was supposed to be a lot of our celebration on the 100th. We're moving it to the 104 for the 2-year, given the circumstances. But yeah, I mean, seriously, I can't wait to go down memory lane when we get to, because we're going to have a lot of fun looking back at some of the old episodes.
Yeah. And in reference to conversations we had prior about, catchphrases that you and I have, like things like, ages like fine wine. Someone said, Pixel Bomb said, what Cozy says all the time is, "Oh, we got a blank gamer here," and says whatever first card they played in the blank.
I don't even know that I said that. Like, there are a couple things. Someone says I always touch my lip after I play my card, and I look back and I'm like, oh my God, I do. I didn't even know I do. You're not aware of it, especially like for me, like I Control-Alt-Delete on my brain the second I go to the next video. Like, I don't even think about the last one just because you can't. And man, I look back and I'm like, well, dude, I do that every time. So it's fun it was really fun to get those in and these like habits that we do.
Yeah. So we got a blank gamer here is the equivalent of me saying, oh, we got some blank gameplay, right? It's like, it's the exact same thing. I do it like 4 times a video. I watched it back. I'm like, oh no, I got to stop saying that, right? Like I couldn't believe it. And then Kodu responded, if Alex has a catchphrase, it's definitely cope/coping/copium. Either that or Loki should be given to new players at the start.
I feel like you were a dad that learned a new slang term not long ago, and it was cope, and then now you're like, I'm gonna use it all the time. Fit in with the kids.
Yeah. It's so cool. I got to use it all the time so the kids know that I'm hip. And then someone else commented, Okara did mention as well on what I say, Skillmonger, Skill Obsidian, Cope Summers, Triple M, APOC and Aim Bomb, and Wongers are some of the ones they remember off the top of their
those.
head.
I love those are so out. No, it's just like it is so you. Skillmonger is one that is I have nightmares about. I hear it all the time.
I've always liked. Crossboners is another one you hate. That's the one you hate the most.
Crossboners is that's demonetization coming right at you.
But anyways, guys, that takes us to the end of this week's Snapchat, guys. Number 100, and we're looking forward to the next 100 as well. We'll be doing a special celebration in a few weeks for our 2-year anniversary, Cozy. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Until the next one, happy snapping.